Okay, so now we're going to be talking about your experience growing up in the martial law era. I know you said that you were born in 1965, so I
67.
67. That's bad, I forgot. But at that time, you were probably like somewhere in the range of 5 to 7 years old, right?
72. That was 1972.
Okay, so
That
say
was like
five.
5.
5. Okay, so I know maybe you were too young, but
No, I still remember.
okay. So, but what was your initial response when you first heard about martial law?
Well, you kind of observe why people are talking about it and why everyone is glued to the television watching the president declare something, an important declaration. And I remember that we're not allowed to go out late. And I remember that my parents and my older brothers, or everyone older than me, because I was the youngest in the household, would tell me don't go out of the streets once it's around 4 or 5, and things get a little darker. And I said, why? Oh, because there's a lot of patrolling police, you know. So it was kind of a little scary, like, why? What's going on? Because you only see police people when there's trouble, right? And then later on, as I was growing up, I kind of started to understand that, people were angry, were rebelling against that declaration because it kind of took away their rights. And you were not supposed to say or do anything that would offend whoever's in power. So, and I would remember seeing secret meetings sometimes. I would remember, just people talking. I remember those days, but it didn't hit me until I was a little older. The real repercussions of that law.
Is there any specific moment or experience where you felt? Because I know martial law was pretty bad. Was there any specific experience where you were hurt?
Oh no.
Close
no.
to danger?
No. I've heard stories.
Like what?
I've heard stories from relatives, them witnessing some people getting in prison because of something wrong that they said, not being politically correct, but not within the closest members of my family, not that I know of or are. But for the most part, it was peaceful. Yeah. I just remember that if you're a minor, you have a curfew. You have to, they will literally ask why you're still out. Because that time, your Tito Vic, the one that is older than me by 9 years, my mom would always remind her, and I don't know if he had some run-ins with them. He was asked, why are you out late?
Okay, so were you with the people power?
No,
Revolution? No?
I didn't go there. I just watched it on TV.
Or you were supporting it?
At that time, I felt bad for the administration because of the way they had to leave. But it felt worse when after we supposedly won a peaceful war, people just started destroying everything that the previous administration, the Marcos administration put up. And that was like, why did you do that? Just because you're angry doesn't give you the right. It's like destroying what you worked so hard for. I mean, you cannot deny that the administration would so long a time in power, they also did some things right. And just because you were angry with them, you have to destroy all the things that they did right. So that was wrong. I felt that that was not right. That was something that got out of hand, and we could have used all of the good things that they you know, and there was some robbery that happened too. It was just bad, you know, like after all the peaceful takeover.
So,
Then came.
what was your reaction when martial law was abolished officially?
Kind of relieved, but then it doesn't really hit you. I mean, you don't really, unless you were in a very political struggle or situation, it doesn't really hit you until you're older, until you realize what was taken away from you with that declaration. Like, you know, I wasn't in politics. I wasn't in any movement or in media, so I don't really understand, you know. But I remember when I was in high school, you know, we were taught to express ourselves, you know, and to stand for what we believe in. And, you know, at that time I didn't have that much of anything that I was really believing, you know, with my whole heart. I had none of those. It was only later when I became a Christian that I understood what my convictions really were. And that if I had been in the martial laws era still, that could have been taken away from me too.
So overall, did you feel like Ferdinand Marcos was a good president?
He had his shining moments. I mean, of course, you don't know the real story. You know, they only paint you the beautiful story, and you only hear about it after. And sometimes you're not so sure who's telling the truth anymore. But then again, like I said, he had some great projects that our nation could have benefited from if the next president or the next administration just continued that. You know, try to get the good, take away the bad. It was like, because of anger, everything seemed bad, and the country had to suffer for it. So, and you know, but the one thing that I really hated was the graft and corruption that came with that administration, with the Marcos administration. That was the worst inheritance they left the Philippines. That to this day, people are still in bondage with, when they're in politics or in power.
Okay.